Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Day Mystics Show. Our mission here is to help you turn whatever you desire into real-life manifestations by sharing our revolutionary technology to make that happen for you. We bring you such cutting-edge information through our resident wizard, Peter Schenk, also through such magical guests each week that are really making a difference to improve our lives on a variety of levels. I am your co-host, Donna, along with the founder of this program, the modern day mystic himself, Peter Schenk. Peter, how are you today?
It always helps when you unmute. I'm doing great, thank you. Welcome, everyone. As part of tradition, everyone please take out a glass of water. I'd like to kick off the show with a general blessing of well-being. Left hand over the glass about 3 inches and spread your fingers. Let me know when you start to feel, in a minute, you'll start to feel the energy run down through your hand into the water. Everyone please put your attention on the water and repeat the words out loud. I honor the space in which you exist. You feel that energy increase? Go ahead and drink as much as you want. Notice the taste and the texture of the water. That one's good tonight. That's all that Aqua Ware 5 going through me. Donna, talk to me.
Yes, so we've got a great guest tonight. Michael is joining us. He is the founder of the Ionic Body Balancer. So let me just tell you a little bit about Michael. In 2004, Michael was caring for his aging mother, Annie, after she fell outside her home in rural Arizona. She had fallen on her right side and had bruises from her knee to her hip. After several weeks, the bruising was still not healed, and Michael purchased a 2000 Ionic foot bath for his mother to use. By 2005, Michael had developed a prototype for the very first system that would eventually become the Ionic Body Balancer. After testing each prototype on himself, Annie was usually the first volunteer for these products, but only after satisfying her curiosity about the safety of each one, her feedback and encouragement was paramount in the design of the Ionic Body Balancer. So tonight we brought on Michael to talk about his Ionic Body Balancer.
Michael, how are you, sir?
Doing well.
I am really excited to have you on the show. And in a little while, I'm going to talk about my own personal testimonial to your product, which I actually purchased last November. So please tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what you do.
Peter, I grew up at a cotton farm. And on the farm, in the middle of nowhere, we had to learn how to fix things, determine what went wrong, how we could fix it. Often that included going to the desert, taking a torch, cutting off some piece of metal or something odd from dead machinery, taking it back in the shop, welding it up. The point being that taught me a lot of things that basically these old guys were pioneers. And you look at something that's broken, you analyze it, you fix it, and then you get to go back out in the 110-degree heat and use it. That background is what allowed me to invent a better machine.
So tell us a little bit about the product, please. How it came into fruition, and you've been selling it since 2005, yeah?
Yes, that's correct. The theory is very simple. It's a Tesla theory. If you put energy in the water, say where your feet are, and you create ionic energy with a negative charge, and it has to be using an analog power unit, which puts out direct current, just like a flashlight. It's harmless. If you present that energy in the water, the body will pull that in via the energy meridians that terminate at the reflex, solid, G, and acupressure points. When the body pulls that in, some of it's used to detox the body, and some is used to stay in the cells to make you feel better. And that ratio will change depending on what the body wants to use the energy for that day. The way the machine actually works, which most people in the industry have no idea, is that the negatively charged energy, hence negative ions, will break the positive bond that toxins and free radicals use to attach themselves in our tissues. When that happens, the bad guys will be carried away by the lymphatic system. Until you break that bond, which is the same theory as a magnet, you can't get rid of those toxins.
So let me talk a little bit about my experience with this product. Your product was recommended to me by a very close friend, and she basically said, just get this and start using it. So obviously I found you on eBay, ordered the product, and it came in. So folks, basically what you're getting is a power unit, and you know, this particular device you put in the water and you plug it in and you turn it on. It's very simple to use. I went out and I bought, you know, a kitty litter tray, and I put kitty litter bags in it, and you fill it up with warm water, you put some salt into it, and you put this piece of the machinery into the water, you plug it into the other part, and you turn it on, and you have your feet in there. Now, I love to play with everything electronic, and I've never experienced anything like this. And I'll tell you, I did this straight for 21 days, 20 to 25 days. I did it straight for 45 minutes a day. I typically did it in the early evening, or sometimes I did it in the morning. And on a couple of occasions, would do it twice a day. And it comes with a color-coded chart. It basically says, you know, what color the water is. This is the part of your body that it's detoxing. And I was a little bit of a skeptic, and I did some research on it, and I'll get back into that in a little bit. The first time I did this, the water was too hot. I put my feet in there, I burnt them. I had to wait 5 minutes for it to cool down, and then I put them in there, and I started to get very euphoric after about 15 minutes. But in the first 5 minutes, I was just kind of sitting back on the couch watching a movie, not really paying attention to anything, and then I looked into the water, and oh my God, it started to turn brown, like dark brown, and about 15 more minutes went by, and it just looked like a cesspool. After 45 minutes consistently, day after day after day, the stuff coming out of my body was absolutely disgusting. Now, I am not a medical medical practitioner. I don't pretend to be. So as far as any health claims, I'm not making any to the effects of this product, but I will tell you that I dropped 20 pounds in the first 30 days using this product, and have consistently kept the weight off with a maintenance program of maybe doing it 2 or 3 times a week, not for 45 minutes, maybe for 20 or 25 minutes. But Michael, can you tell us a little bit more about what perceived health benefits come from this technology, please?
Yes, I can. One, because this works at the cellular level, once you get the lifetime of junk out of you, this will help keep your body cleansed. As I said, we know exactly how much energy we need to have, which is several times anything out there, to do the detox, except in rare cases, people are really sick. But that extra energy stays in the body. It gives you a sense of well-being. This machine starts a process that will go on for 2 or 3 days, where pain will be killed. You name it. I mean, where do I go? There's so many things this thing does, and some of them we understand, some of them we still don't. But what it basically does is starts cleaning out your body, stimulating the lymphatic system, which is the main thing of the immune system, and keeps the junk out of your body. You know, everything in the air, the water. We suspect it helps get rid of the toxins from GMO. We know it gets rid of the residual toxins from eating high fructose corn syrup, which is not just another form of sugar. It is a man-made toxic substance that the body cannot process.
Now, typically, how long does it really take to completely get all the 90% of the things that the machine will take out of the body out of the body?
That, as far as the results of a treatment, that's pretty fast. The 90% comes by our guesstimate over the last 11 years of how much junk is coming out in the water from your feet versus how much is actually being carried out through your lymphatic system. The reason you have toxins in your feet is the lymph system leaks. Those vessels aren't like blood vessels. And so you end up with this pool of toxic, stuff in your feet, but that is a fraction of what is leaving your body through the lymphatic system and then, of course, your elimination system.
So who can use your products?
Pretty much anyone from adolescence up till 90, 95, however long they live.
So, with all of that said, how do you know if your body has toxins in it?
You would have to ask that. It's a tough answer. If you're not feeling well, if your coloration is off, if you get tired really easy.
Well, I think it's safe to say that everybody has toxins in their systems. I mean, we live in a completely toxic environment. The air we breathe, the food we eat, the water we drink, I mean, everything is toxic. I've read somewhere that even the clothes that we wear are toxic to the body. So I think it's safe to say that we're just walking toxic farms, yeah?
Yes, and Monsanto, 10 years ago, came out with cottonseed that was GMO. And the reason they did that was that cotton, at first, when the plant was young, now it's all through the growing cycle, is resistant to Roundup, which is a reformulated Agent Orange from Vietnam. So 100% of the cotton that is grown here in America and it's going overseas is GMO. And, who knows what that's going to do. My point is that you mentioned in the environment, your clothes are sort of part of the environment.
Not really an alternative now, is it?
Well, I'm biased because I grew up on a cotton farm. I like cotton. I don't do I do natural fibers. But the real problem I think are GMOs, as well as toxins in the air and the water, fluoride in the water. That's not good. The Nazis heavily fluoridated the water in the concentration camps because fluoride makes people docile. And, you have to wonder why in the 50s the big move to fluoridate all the water, which is virtually everyone's municipal water, happened. You've got that. You've got, you've got chlorine. Well, chlorine gas is what they used in chemical warfare 100 years ago in World War I. The gas attacks. So you've got all this stuff you're getting there. You're getting GMO. The FDA recently approved importing chicken from China, and you can imagine what's in that stuff, without even having to label it. So you don't know if you're buying chicken from China, but I'm sure that, you've got heavy metals, you've got who knows what in that chicken. And of course, who knows what bacteria are in that chicken besides the normal botulism. So the concept is that you have to somehow cleanse your body. You've got to keep this junk out of your body. When you first start using it, you're going to be getting stuff out of your body that has been there decades probably. Same thing with your feet. So the answer is everyone needs it. Yeah,
Can I ask you a kind of an off question? So you've been selling these devices since 2005. How many have you actually sold?
Over 12,000.
Wow.
We do some in Europe. We do a lot in Australia. We have to do it a certain way because it's regulated down there. We buy the power supplies in Australia and have them shipped there, and everything else comes from here. But in the U.S., about 11,000.
So when I first heard about your product, actually there's a bazillion people selling these devices in all shapes and sizes. Naturally, curiously, I just started doing research on it before I purchased it. And apparently this is the big spa treatment now. Everyone goes and gets they call it the foot detox. They go into the spa, they do this once or twice a week, and they had experts look at this. Experts, I don't know what an expert in that field would be, but apparently they would say that even if you just put the salt in there and you turn the machine on, the water would get murky within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and it's actually not doing anything for you. I'm not contesting to that. I'm just telling you what I've read. Do you have any comments on that?
Oh, sure. When you run a machine, any machine, and ours actually produces more ugly-looking stuff in the feed than anyone else's because it's the most powerful, you will get a color change in the water. That is from the salt being deconstructed. You have minerals in the water. You have the salt. You have fluorine. You have chlorine. Fluoride. That's going to all change colors. However, those hues are different than the colors when you have your feet in the water. They will look similar. The human eye just doesn't pick up the different shades and hues like say a mass spectrometer will do. But if you put your finger in that water, nothing will stick to it when you pull it out because there's no detox material. And then you can take it further as a skeptic and throw a pencil in or a carrot, and it'll say, look, I detoxed the carrot. When you do a treatment with our machine, you put your finger in the water after it's been detoxing, and you pull it out, and there's all kinds of gunk on it. That's because the toxins maintain their positive electrical charge. They want to go back in the body. That's detox material.
So when I've taken my feet out, I've actually had to scrub them to get that sludge off the bottom of my feet. And there's a couple times where I've walked over to dump the kitty litter excess water down the drain, and I've splashed it on my clothes, ruined. I splashed it on the tile. Yeah, it's very hard to get out. Very hard.
Well, it is because these toxic substances have very strong natural dyes. They're not good. Period. They're bad.
So I've been using tap water for this. Is there a difference in the capability of what it can deliver versus tap water versus distilled water? What do you recommend?
Tap water. If you use distilled water, or even if you drink it, you're going to leach out your minerals because there's nothing in it but water. Just use as hot as you can stand, warm as you can stand. Tap water with about a teaspoon of salt. If you're using a kitty litter box, which is a little bigger, you'd probably use a teaspoon and a half. Some people the amount of saline content in the water will determine how much energy will be pulled out of the machine, an analog machine. So you want to be kind of careful there if someone is very small in stature or even a child, and we can't recommend children use it for legal reasons, but we know that we have a ton of customers that do use it, especially on autistic children, where it calms them down. That's all you do. The energy will go in the body. If your feet are in the thing, the water, it won't start pulling everything out of suspension in the water like if you run it without feet in the water.
Now, why your feet? Why not your hands, maybe your elbows?
You can also do your hands, Peter, because the key are the reflexology points. Those are points, significant points where the energy meridians terminate in the body. And you can use your hands. Some people use their hands. We had an elderly lady, a friend of my mother's, who had pain in her left bicep. And she went to the heart doctor, everything was fine. When she put her hand in that for treatment, the pain would go away for 2 or 3 days.
Wow. I'm too fidgety, though. I can't. I got to use my feet. Donna, would you use your feet or your hands?
I think I would do both.
Yeah. Good answer, Donna. Good answer.
I'm like ready to use it, and you do have some folks in the chat. I don't know if this is a good time for questions or not.
Bring them.
Okay, but I've got Dennis in the chat, and I've been engaging with Dennis here. Okay, I'm really excited to share this. Dennis, he says, since 2008, when I was suffering from excruciating pain following an outbreak of shingles. And then, let's see, and so I asked him how long have you been using it, and so he's been using it since 2008. Okay, then let's see here. Of course, the chat is going. So the follow-up to that was, I can tell you that this was the only thing that really helped. It has proven to be a lifesaver for me, literally. I had a poisonous snake bite. The Ionic Detox pulled the toxin out of me and saved the day. I didn't go to the doctor.
From a snake bite?
Dennis,
that doesn't surprise me.
That doesn't sound like it was a rattlesnake.
Snakes are snakes. I don't like rattlesnakes. I grew up, where they're everywhere. And I once went down to wash my hands in our shop on the farm after being out helping, the adults do stuff. A guy who was illegally alien grabbed me by the collar. I was like 7 or so, yanked me back because there was a rattlesnake coiled around the water pipe, sleeping. So I don't like rattlesnakes, but it doesn't surprise me that in the body that toxin will be broken down by the energy from this technology. Now, you mentioned that gentleman had been getting treatments with this technology since 2008. We've had amazing results with people with Gulf War syndrome.
Wow. Expand on that. Tell us.
Well,
what is Gulf War syndrome? Gulf War syndrome. What is that?
It's it's like what is fibromyalgia? We know it comes from probably a vaccine. Those troops are given a vaccine that was unproven. Of course, never had gone through the FDA process when they went over there to Kuwait to go to Iraq, Saudi. The vaccine came from a small company in Huntsville, Texas, and it was owned by Bush 41 and James Baker, who would sort of say, James Baker being, Reagan's various positions. So, I had, my son-in-law recently got out of the Air Force. They had sent him twice to some little base out in Afghanistan where, from what I can figure out, they now launch drones out of the back of C-130s, because the C-130, being a turboprop, can orbit on station forever. I mean, 12, 14 hours. And that's how some of those drones get going so fast. Well, when he was on the base, and they, those things were falling apart, so they were there to fix them. One day they were burning. I had to laugh because the Army military burns everything. If it's a waste, they burn it. He gets a letter when he got back from not the Air Force, but from the Defense Department, informing him he was exposed to a toxic substance. One day when they were burning the stuff, the wind shifted and they all got dosed. Now, they refused to tell him, or the other fellows, his friends there, what the toxic substance was. Now, the interesting thing is, when he meanwhile he was there, and ever since, he developed asthma. He has asthma now. He never had asthma, and the machine does help him. So, I mean, how do you get toxins? Boy, just when someone who's been a welder all their life does one of these treatments, they have eye protection, but they don't have respirator. The water smells terrible. I mean, you've got to leave the room. People that have worked in oil refineries.
What about if you got smelly feet to begin with? Does it?
Well, no, that is a good question, Peter. The machine the energy will kill mold and fungus on the feet. We've had people with toenail fungus who had tried Lamisil and everything else, couldn't get rid of it. They used the machine like you did intensively for a month, and it starts to go away. Now, it takes a few months. If you've got a lot of fellows have cracked heels, they don't take care of their feet. When you put their feet in that water, between the salt and the energy, it's like, oh no, that hurts. But if they hang in there, those cracks will heal. And you know, everything they've tried didn't heal them. If you put a few drops of colloidal silver in those wounds, that's the best antibiotic there is.
Now,
So, you know, we just keep stumbling across these things that people will call it, and it's anecdotal, but when you get, you know, over time, 4 or 5, or in the case of some things, several hundred people saying, hey, I had such and such and this helped it, you know, you've got to, there's something to it.
what do you recommend as normal usage for this machine?
Peter, that depends on, you know, where the person is in illness. If we've got people who have gone through chemo, which leaves a ton of stuff in the body that's not good. They'll use it every day when they stop chemo for a week or two, and they start feeling better. If someone is really acidic, which means they're probably going to they have or will get cancer, they do the same thing. They use it every day for a couple of weeks, and while this isn't, I can't claim it really raises the pH up in the alkaline, which cancer can't grow in, but it does increase, you know, raises their pH a little bit. You know, I haven't heard of anything yet, except being ugly, that this machine doesn't help.
Okay.
I mean that literally.
Nice.
Go
I'll
ahead.
tell you one thing odd that we've stumbled across. Myopractors are hard to come by. You know, they're like they're chiropractors, and they learn more about the physiology, and they do things a little differently. It's kind of like Rolfing, Reiki, and then they do adjustments.
Wow.
We have a myopractor, a fellow who's worked on me before, who's bald. You know, just right on top, just, you know, bald as a baby's butt, and he has an inversion table. You know, where you hang by your ankles. He started doing a treatment, he uses it in his business, with his top of the head in the water. And man, you know, I didn't know he was doing that, and I saw him after a few months, and he had hair. And I said, "Well, you know, you got hair." And he says, "What?" He says, "Well, what?" So I had him bend, you know, lean over, and I took a picture of my iPhone, and I showed it to him. He's like, "Well, yeah, I felt like I." Well, the thing is, he kept using it. I went back to him, you know, every couple of weeks for a while, and he kept having more hair.
I would recommend putting your head in this thing, because it does.
Well, no, just the top of his head. He didn't like submerge it. I wouldn't want to, you know, recommend that. But the thing is, his point was that there is, and I'm not a doctor or a medical person, but there's some kind of a testosterone, waxy something up there on, you know, people's heads that are bald. That came out, that was dissolved, and he said the first few times the water was waxy and just horrible looking. You know, so we have hesitated. We've hesitated. I have some pictures, you know, before and after, but we're not through like seeing how much hair you can grow. But it sure worked a lot better than minoxidil.
I'm gonna post some pictures up on my Facebook page probably tomorrow of 3 different times. You know, when I start using it, you know, 15 minutes into it, a half hour, and then when I'm done. And it's absolutely, positively the most disgusting thing you've ever seen. And the smell is worse. Now, it's my understanding that what you're looking at is only 10% of what's coming out of the body, and then the lymphatic system gets rid of the other 90% over, what, 24 to 72 hours or something?
Yeah, of what's being detoxed. I mean, a lot of, you have to stay hydrated. Probably, you know, a gallon of water a day for the lymph system to work properly. This machine, we think it's the energy going into the body, and the increase in metabolism, which is why you lost weight probably, stimulates that lymph system. So, you know, there's a curve there where it improves. But it does, as I said earlier, start a process that continues.
So, Michael, with that said, I want to take 5 minutes out. We've got a rather large crowd tonight, and I want to debut the QLS on Aqua Ware 5, the quantum layering session. I just want to show people where we are with the software. So I'm going to switch screens here, and I'm going to do a quick demo of the QLS feature within Aqua Ware 5 that's coming out fairly soon. So this is Aqua Ware 5. I've already done a number of different videos on some of the features within Aqua Ware 5. I've also done some live demonstrations of it, but tonight I want to show everybody the QLS feature under the Advanced Features tab. Now, QLS stands for Quantum Layering Session, and over the years people have asked me, is it possible to layer intention inside of water? So it was one of the earlier releases, I believe Aqua Ware 3, we came out with the QLS, which allowed people to put 7 intentions into 1 glass of water. And again, folks, it doesn't matter if the water is next to your computer, a case of water downstairs, or a cup of coffee on Mars. The principles that govern the software and how it runs, the software, the water, the target water can be absolutely anywhere. So Aqua Ware 5 is a complete rewrite from the ground up, and I've made this particular version very, very visual for people. I've showed you already how to build custom intent sessions. Now I'm going to show you the new QLS feature, and this is absolutely amazing. So whenever you run a normal intent, it always asks you at the end if you want to save it as an ALS file, which is an Aqua Ware layering session file. And from the ALS files, you build your own QLS, okay? And you'll notice here, these ones were built within the custom intent sessions. They get saved out as an ALS, and some of these were just straight run right from the 1,000 plus intents that now inhabit Aqua Ware 5. Okay, so before you have to do this crazy, hold the control key down and blah, 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 and pick all your things, you don't have to do that anymore. Watch this, folks. You simply left-click and drag it down to the palette. Okay, we're now building a custom QLS. Okay, these are from intentions that we had saved. Okay, and I'm just simply dragging them down here. And as you see, they're just coming down. And now we are allowed to put 9 intentions into 1 glass of water. How mind-blowing is that? 9 intentions, okay? So let's just say, I screwed the order up. Well, you simply click on here, and you can move it left, or you can move it right, and you can save this. You can call it whatever you want. We'll call this number 2. Again, folks, this is all visual. Okay, Aqua Ware has been redesigned from the ground up to be visual. Now, like all the products that I have, where you put your attention, the intention will go. Okay, once you have the 9 intentions that you want, you simply put your attention there and you run it. What we're running now is water prep, user prep, and now we're going to sequentially run each one of those intents. And as humans, we overcomplicate everything. All you have to do is put your attention on that glass of water, hit the run button, and Aqua Ware does absolutely everything else. You're seeing it for the first time, the new QLS feature within Aqua Ware 5. We are running 9 intentions simultaneously, sequentially. We're putting them right into a glass of water. So some people like to use all their vitamins in one QLS, which is fine. What do you think of that, Donna? Donna?
Oops, sorry, unmute. So that was pretty awesome.
So, folks, this is Aqua Ware 5 coming to you sometime in May when I get it done. We're almost there. You can read some posts on the Facebook from David Shear has been playing with it, and a couple other people that are in my inner circle of beta testing it, and it's absolutely amazing. Again, the Aqua Ware product will be announced sometime in May. We will be doing a whole show around it. There'll be a whole slew of videos going live around the product launch of how you use it. Again, this particular version offers over 1,000 pre-canned intents. It has 300 new intents. All the intents that people asked for are now in Aqua Ware 5, except for a couple which I decided not to put in there. So with that said, Michael, back to you.
Hello.
So
I thought that was very interesting.
The Aqua Ware 5 is going to be unlike anything humanity has ever seen. You mean if any of the other versions of the technology are a testament to this, this is a quantum leap forward. With each version release of Aqua Ware 5, I rewrite the engine from the ground up, and this actually 95% of this program was rewritten from the ground up, and I then sequentially I'll upgrade the entire product line over the next 12 to 18 months with the Aqua Ware 5 engine. It's an amazing program. It has done a lot of good in the world. There are a lot of people from around the planet using it. I do a lot of shows over the last couple of years, and there's always people that get on the shows when I'm debuting one of the new products, and they're like, "Oh my God, you have to use Aqua Ware." It's just it's an amazing piece of technology, and it has, you know, much like what you have created, helps move the planet forward a little bit at a time. And I mean that's what it's always about. It's what it's been about for me since I started my journey back in 2004. You know,
that makes sense to me, Peter, in that you know, you're trying to get the body, you're trying to get the body back to the condition it would be in, or it was in ancient times. You know, clean air, before clean air, clean water, and pure foods went away. I believe that the body was created perfectly by the Creator. Kind of redundant, but because of everything that all the junk in our atmosphere and water, and most of that's man-made, like the fluoride and the chlorine, and the crap in the food, you know, it's been compromised. Now, what's interesting is people are always worried about pesticides with the vegetables and fruit from California. For over 10 years now, those guys haven't been able to use normal pesticides. They can't use chemicals anymore. And the ironic thing is that because of the water shortage in California, which is man-made, and that's a whole different topic, more and more of those vegetables are coming just south of the border from the Imperial Valley. And, you know, of course, Tucson's a big corridor with Nogales being a twin city still. More and more of what you eat is coming from Mexico, and they don't have any environmental rules down there. But the GMO, I do organic whenever I can, because organic does not have GMOs yet. But if you wear cotton clothes, you know, it probably is. All of our corn here is GMO now, almost all of our wheat, and we think that high fructose corn syrup, as dangerous as it has been, is now worse because it's made from GMO corn. And the government's not, you know, chicken from China. I mean, I wouldn't eat very much of anything from China. And because the FDA said, oh, no, you can have it come in, we don't need to test it, and you don't have to label it. Well, gee whiz. You know, what do you do? I mean, free-range chicken. Because normal chicken has been pumped full of estrogen to plump up the breasts, and ironically, in the early 90s, after the government came out in the medical establishment saying, oh, eat more chicken to breast cancer survivors, what'd they do? Eat more chicken. You know, have some more estrogen. I mean, it's, who do you whoa. And of course, now we have Monsanto that it takes us to a whole new level of bad.
You know, it's interesting, Michael. The MDM team has taken our first venture into the physical realm in a couple months with a device that I call the HFA, the harmonic field amplifier. And, you know, since my wake-up experience, I always receive what I call download dumps of brilliant ideas and information that always come at the perfect time, whether it's a current project I'm working on or something in the future. And the HFA, and I'm not going to tell, well, should I let the cat out of the bag, Donna? Might as well.
Well, you have to now.
We call it a new way to travel. And the idea came to me through a dear friend a few months back. And I had the plans downloaded in my head. And basically, it's a piece of copper with a silver lining that goes around it. And there's some beautiful geometry on the top and on the bottom. And it has two cones that go right through the center and create a field. And you put this device in your car. And I'm going to make some bold claims, but don't back me up because I haven't gotten the prototypes yet. But what it's going to do is it's going to take all of the energy in your car that's non-harmonic and it's going to turn it into a harmonic energy and place it back where it is. So as soon as you place this device in your car, it immediately starts taking everything that's unharmonic, pulls it into the device, washes it through the 0 point, and replaces it to where it came. So in theory, things like your tires aren't going to wear as fast, your brakes are not going to wear as fast, your engine oil viscosity is not going to break down as fast, okay? Your stereo in your car is going to sound better. And, you know, with the Aqua Ware technology, we have the ability to create a force field around the car. It's called force field transportation. And it creates, in the humidity bubble around the car, it puts the intent. And there's some really cool testimonials about that. But this device will create that amongst a couple others to be announced when it's finished. And if you're having a bad day at work and you get into your car, within 30 seconds, your entire persona is going to change. You're going to be in a harmonic space. And this is the first product in a line of products that will be coming out over the next year or two. There'll be one for your home and office at a point. There'll be one for your house. So, you know, I'm really pushing the envelope over the next 3 months. I mean, the new website, you know, Aqua Ware 5's coming, the HFA device is coming, you know, and then the whole product line, the Source 5 will come, you know, when it's time for all of that. So the whole MDM team is really kicking it up a notch this year. We've got amazing products coming, amazing stuff. So with that said, what do you have coming?
Well, first, let me add to your product that's coming out. When you get in your car and drive home, put your feet in one of our machines because, remember, there's BEFE, bioelectric field enhancement, and that balances somebody's energy field. So, see, you need to buy them both. We have in the pipeline, because of the specs of our power supply, we're working on a colloidal silver generator. The ones you can buy now are, you know, they're toys, and it takes several hours to generate the colloidal silver. We're working on one, and the trick is the quality of metals in it, what to use, that will allow someone to plug into our machine, existing machine, this device, put it in water, completely pure water, and probably actually, I'd say distilled water, so there's nothing in it, and it will produce colloidal silver in a matter of minutes.
Wow.
That is very, very cool. So, you know, when you started this venture with this product and where it is today, do you see yourself tweaking the design in the future? Is it going to remain the same basic concept that it is? Is there upgrades coming for it?
Well, we've gone through with our ionizer, which is really a big part of this, because simple things, you know, getting simple things to work optimally is tougher than a complicated thing to work. Our ionizer has gone through 12 generations. We're on the 12th revision now. We think we've got that thing, you know, perfect. We have a new ionizer that has more plates in it, whereas last produces more ions with the same power. Our power unit, we were using for years a power unit called Pyramid, and it worked fine. But then it was cheapened down, and now it's made in China a few years ago, and the frequencies aren't there. It's just a piece of junk. You can buy it all over the place for $75. We began making our own power supply, having it made for us, exceeding the specs of the old Pyramid, and you'll see that in the picture that's up. That made a big difference. So we think we can maybe increase things, you know, a little bit, tweak it a little bit. But what we have now it's the bomb. As I say, this is basically a machine that the 11,000 people here have bought.
Here's a cool question. Have you ever used the Carillion photography to on a person pre and post using this device?
Wow. No, we haven't, Peter.
That would be interesting to check out.
Boy, that's a good idea.
That comes from.
I don't want to sound like a dumb guy, because, you know, to accentuate something you said earlier, you said how things will come in flashes when you're developing something. I ran into two major obstacles the year that I was developing this machine, and just hit brick walls, couldn't figure it out. both times, one time I had a nap on a Saturday afternoon, and I woke up and I had the answer. Very, very odd. Another time, 2 months later, hit another roadblock, took a really good night's sleep, got up, there was the answer. So we think that, I visualize the perfection of this theory in our machine, as evidence in our machine, as being, regardless of your belief system, whether it's the universe or God or whatever. I mean, this is a divinely inspired item, in that if I hadn't had those, those clues, we might never have made a machine that worked.
Amazing how things just fit together when they need to.
Yeah,
I've hit brick walls all the time when developing things, and sometimes there's that age-old question: you just got to get up and walk away. But when I'm really at a sticking point, the wall just dissolves, and I can move through it with the information. It just comes to me like that.
out of the blue.
Yeah.
I would do. I've always been kind of sensitive to energy, people's energy. I can't live in an apartment building, for example. I live on an acre and a half here in Tucson. And most of I usually work at night on these kinds of things, because the energy at night is just totally different. And most of the big things we did on this, the nuts and bolts, were result of work done like at 11 o'clock to 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
When I used to work on Wall Street, a lot of the complicated problems that I had to solve the answer would come to me right before you wake up in the morning, when you're fully conscious and your mind's completely clear, and you start thinking about the mechanics of what you have to do during the day, and the answer would come to me like that. But after my wake-up experience, everything changed. Now it's a download, dump, here you go, do what you want with it.
Yeah, I think you get. I mean, I really do think that. I mean, I was retired before we did this machine. I had made plenty of dough in the financial field, and it's ironic. I was trying to get, as I say, $2,000 for a machine that had half the power we ended up with. $3,000 was another machine. Now they have a $2,000 model, a company I won't mention, but same name as a former, as a computer chip maker that Intel ate. Their machines were half the power, and now the new one they came out with that they push on autistic mothers of autistic kids, which I don't agree with ethically, have like 2 amps of power, and that's what these Chinese machines have. They have 1.8, maybe 3. Our machine has 11. We know exactly, we're pretty sure exactly where you reach the optimum, and once again, analog energy, the others are digital, to do a great detox. Energy's left over to stay in the cells. That's why you felt so great after using it. The runner's high that you described comes from our machine releasing a lot of endorphins. Some people, I'm one of them, have a bad neck from a car accident years ago, and when I put my feet, I pulled a muscle, it didn't heal, healed a little bit too short. So in your normal day-to-day whatever stress, it will sometimes spasm, and then when I put my feet in the water, in about 5 minutes, sometimes less, I'll be rolling my neck and stretching it, and boom, it'll be like a 4 or 5 vertebrae will like pop in place. It's it's amazing. I mean, I'm sure we will continue to find more and more things that this thing does, but just the ones from helping Parkinson patients not tremble as much, and autistic kids be calmer, people with a lot of joint pain that gets killed for a few days, people who are toxic. I mentioned before, we're on here today about the liver, gallbladder, flush. That's that's pretty easy. And all this machine, this technology helps all of that.
Absolutely.
You mentioned losing weight. Can I say one thing more about that?
Sure.
The reason you lost weight, Peter, probably when there's a toxin in the body, and a lot of them, and sometimes free radicals, how they stay in the tissues is with a positive electrical charge. And the body's response usually will be to encapsulate that in fat to try to protect itself from it. You probably were losing weight because when our negatively charged current, the negative ions, broke the bond of that toxin, the fat went away with the bond, with the toxin. And we're, you know, if a person's gotten heavy because of junk food and bad food, you know, and they start dieting, a lot of times they'll get to a plateau, and nothing they can do can take them down below that. We think that's because of the fat that's encapsulating those bad things. When you start using the machine, that starts leaving because that positive electrical charge has been broken by our our negative electrical charge, which is more powerful. That's why we think people lose weight.
Makes sense completely. Yeah, I was really surprised because the weight loss really started to happen after that three-week period, and then I went into maintenance mode with it. It came off quick, really quick, for sure. Hey Donna, how we doing on the questions?
Well, we've got some, and I think people are chomping at the bit here. So Georgia really needs to know, Michael, what's the difference between your product and the whole body vibration machine?
Well, if she's talking about the machine that you stand on that shakes your body, that could be used in conjunction with our machine, because you know that will stimulate the lymphatic system, which of course strengthens the immune system. Our machine works, it's an energy medicine, but I'm not saying it's a medical device. I want to make that clear. It's using energy to do things that Nikola Tesla predicted. And that is different than what she's talking about. The two would work together if I understand what she's saying.
That's awesome. We just had Becky on the show, Becky Chambers, who talked about the whole body vibrating machine.
Mm-hmm.
We also had a question in there. I believe it was from Diane. Diane wanted to know, how does this work for a person with arthritis?
We don't know how it works, but it kills the pain for a day or two. It'll also, one thing, it seems to clear out the debris and crap in joints, which actually was part of that orange that you experienced, Peter. And we think because of that, the joints, you know, the sandpaper type material that is in there from whatever, and arthritis certainly makes that worse, goes out of that joint. But we also think there's something at the energy level that kills that pain as well.
Perfect.
Remember, my mother had neuropathy, and you know the classical medical definition of neuropathy is permanent nerve damage. Well, you know what we found in her case was when we started getting that toxic junk out of her feet, one day she started having feeling again. Because before this machine, she could walk around the house. I, of course, have a ranch-style house in Arizona, and with a walker with brakes and, you know, the basket and everything. But she really wasn't sure on her feet. When we started getting that junk out of there, one day her feelings started coming back, and she was like in agony for a couple of days. And then as she kept using it, she could feel again. And she, in fact, on our website's a picture of her escaping down the circle drive of my property. You know, she's like almost 90 years old, and she's, you know, it was funny how she got down the couple of steps up to my porch, and you know, she was like Texas farm girl, man. You couldn't stop her. She was all over the place. But so, you know, something in her story and what worked for her will work for the person who has pain from arthritis. You know, so some of it I think is energy, cleansing, and some of it's cleansing the various junk out of the joints. But in my mother's case, you know, it was getting all that accumulation of toxins and edema and crap out of her feet, and then going through a couple of days where the nerves turned back on, because we think they were pinched off from all that junk in there and the effect of the chemicals in her body.
Okay, that's awesome. So you talked earlier about it pulls out about 10%. Is that like about 10% each time you use it? my question, I guess, would be, does the water, do we ever get to a point where the water is running clear? Or not as dark?
The water will get substantially better.
Okay.
However, it will never be clear because, you know, we're constantly bombarded with stuff. Now, Peter, you need a device. I want one of those for my car.
Okay, so we would have to pretty much live in a bubble, huh?
My water.
Well, you know, if you could live out in the middle of nowhere, I know some places in Arizona where, you know, they have clean water. The aquifer is not very, you know, it's only a couple hundred feet down. No air pollution except chemtrails. We have a lot of those here. They probably, you know, they grew their own vegetables, but you'd have to have a milk cow. You need to have an orchard. My mother grew up in Texas with all of that. You know, I think that's why some of that generation, despite all the crap they're exposed to, lived to be 90s.
Michael, can you please tell our listening guests how they can get in touch with you?
Very simply, you can call me at area code 520-219-2550. That number and our 800 number, which unfortunately is always clogged, on our website, which is ionicbalancer.com. And if you can't remember that, we have a redirect at maxdetox.com. Front page has our numbers on it.
Okay. Michael,
Well,
I really want...
real quick, hey, Peter. Michael, are you offering a special for our audience, our listening audience?
Yes, we are. There's on our website, use a coupon code MDM Show, and there's I believe there's a space. I'm not sure, but MDM Show will provide a 20% discount. We have some other sales already up there, so I think if you combine all those, it'll cost you about $5. I'm not sure, but you will get a substantial discount, and we offer free shipping. We ship by priority mail, so it gets just about any place, unless you're in the Ozarks, in 2 days.
That's
awesome. Awesome. Michael, thank you very much for being on the MDM show. Awesome piece of machinery. Very, very cool. Very informative. Donna, thank you. Thanks, everyone.
You bet. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. Oh, by the way, don't forget about the master classes.
True. We'll be sending out some more emails in the next few days about them. I really would love for people to go and read the testimonials on the website about the first generation master classes. You need to sign up for the second generation. There's financial support. You just email me if you can't afford the full price. Read the testimonials. The second generation is taking it to another new level. First gen was amazing. Second generation is going to be over the top. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.